In this question, we need to come up with a rough sketch for f of x as well as g of x. And when we have that rough sketch, we also want to label the intercepts, x and y. So the first thing that we want to do is get the x and y axes down on our paper. And here's where we're going to put the rough sketch. So to help us out, we're going to graph this in Desmos.com. So here's that graph in Desmos. And what we want to look for here is just the general shape of the polynomial. And we also want to check out where the graph crosses the x-axis. So here, here, and here, which are my x-intercepts. And then you also want to figure out where it crosses the y-axis, which is right here. That's going to be the y-intercept. And that's going to help us get that rough sketch as accurate as we can down on our paper. So it looks like the x-intercepts are right here, so it's -3. We also have one at -0.618 and then another one at +1.618. And then lastly we have a y-intercept down here at -3. So to help me get my rough sketch down on my paper, I'm going to use all these intercepts. So here are my x-intercepts written down, and I want to start plotting those. So I've got one at -3, so I'm going to put down a couple tick marks here. Goes all the way to the left to about -3. So I'm going to put one there. And then I have one at -0.618, so it's not going to be quite at -1, so that will be, I don't know, somewhere around there. And then we also have one between 1 and 2, so I'll do a couple more tick marks there, and it's at about 1.618. So that's going to be somewhere around here. Now remember, this is a rough sketch, so these can be all estimated. Now since we have our x-intercepts down, we want to throw down our y-intercept. And that was the blue one right here, 0, -3. So again, we're going to put 1, 2, 3 tick marks going down like that. And then I could put in a point right there at 0, -3. So that's going to be my y-intercept. Now let's go back to Desmos to figure out what our end behavior was. Now as we went to our left, so as x approached -infinity, we saw that our y was going downwards, okay? And then as we go towards our right side of the graph, as x approaches +infinity, our y's are going up. So I want to put those arrows on my graph here. On this side it's going downwards, and it's eventually going to be going up over here. And now I could just fill everything in. Okay, so from my arrow here, I'm going to go up through my first x-intercept here on my left side. It's going to go up, and then it's going to come back down. It's going to create a relative maximum, and then it goes down through my other x-intercept, down through my y-intercept, and then it's going to come back up, which made a relative minimum, through my last x-intercept, and then I could move that all the way up into the arrow there, okay? And that's going to be a rough sketch. And if I match that to Desmos, there you go. It's pretty, I'd say it's pretty close, right, for a rough sketch. So that's that. Now we want to move into part B, okay? That's g of x. I have another polynomial. The degree is 4. So let's go ahead and put that into Desmos as well. Okay, so here's our graph in Desmos. Now remember, the whole reason we put it in Desmos anyways is to just get the x and y intercepts. So let's call those out again. Here's an x-intercept right there at about -2.2. There's going to be another one at about -0.4, and then our y-intercept is right here at about 0, 2. So I'm going to put that onto my paper. Okay, so here's my two x-intercepts in green, and then my y-intercept is in blue. So I'm going to go ahead and plot all those on my x and y axes right here. And to do that, I'm going to throw down some tick marks. So that's going to be -1, -2, and then -3. And then on my y-axis, I'll go up to +1 and +2 there. So this x-intercept right here is going to be somewhere between -2 and -3. So maybe about right there. And then this one right here, -0.431, is it going to be just before -1. It's going to be between 0 and -1 right there. Okay, and then lastly, my y-intercept will be exactly at 0, 2. My next step would be putting in the end behavior arrows. So looking back at Desmos, it looked like both my ends are going up towards positive infinity. So um, I'm going to have an arrow going up like that, and then another arrow going up like that. So from the left arrow here, I want to fill in my graph. So I'm going to go downwards through my first x-intercept, and then it's got to come back up to get through this x-intercept, and then it's going to cross over my y-axis right here. Now it's going to come back down. It's going to make a maximum right there, relative maximum, but there's no other zeros over here, right? So what happened is it went down and then it just kind of made a turn. It's like, I'm going back up here by the arrow. And there's a relative maximum, I'm sorry, relative minimum right here. So that's going to be a rough sketch for this polynomial right here, g of x. You can match it with the one in Desmos, and this is the one in Desmos, and this is the one on our paper. Again, it's not terribly accurate, but we're just looking for the x and y intercepts to make sure that they're accurately plotted, and you know that you see the shape of the polynomial.